Good evening. This is a submission for Jennifer Decker, Artistic Director of the still and long-running and well-running Mildred's Umbrella, for consideration for prospect of a play I'm writing. So I thought what I would do is just read to you the opening monologue as it is. It's the prologue. Prologue. At Rise, Elizabeth Fields enters. She's 52, wears a house dress, no makeup, short hair, frail and thin, glasses, and a colostomy bag. One hand holds an ashtray, the other a lit cigarette. She says, "Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Fields. I am the playwright's aunt. My nephew asked me to come out and entertain you, which means stall since the production is running late. We had to rent the space to a yoga class beforehand. I tell you, the theater isn't what it was. But then, my nephew's always late. He once said his Native American name was Running Late, Bearing Gifts. We have yet to see if he will make good on the bearing gifts part. So, since this is a mystery play, I thought I'd tell you a mystery story from my childhood. Behind her, possibly, slides from West Texas, life growing up in West Texas in the 50s. Possibly. See, in the 50s, we didn't stay inside all day like kids do now, with their video games and their cellular phones and their video games on their cellular phones. When I was a kid, we weren't even allowed in the house during the day. It's true. Molly Jo, my mother, would lock us out of the house until supper time. She wasn't worried someone would kidnap us. She was probably hoping. The only thing on a milk carton then was the word milk. And Molly Jo wasn't the only one. Everyone let their children run wild and free. Their dogs, too. No fences, no leashes, and no chains. And everyone was safe for a while. Safer outside than in. Inside is where you could get a whooping or a belt or listen to your crazy alcoholic parents scream at the TV, then each other, and then you. No. The houses we lived in, they weren't ours. They belonged to our parents, as they so often reminded us. I paid for these four walls and this roof. What do you pay for, God damn it? No. Home wasn't home. Outside, the yards, the bike paths, the park, swimming at Two Draw Lake, running through the trees. Outside was ours. Outside was home. We played pirates, cowboys, and Indians. We pronounced it wrong then and used a culturally offensive term, but in fairness, the entire 50s was culturally offensive. What else did we play? Oh, Bang Bang You're Dead, which was always followed by You Miss Me. They missed me every time. Molly Jo, my mama, said no one liked playing with me. You have to die sometimes, she said. But I didn't care. I was squaw Injun, like my mother's mother, Cleo. I knew no white man's bullet would ever get me. And when the kids were mad at me, I just played fetch with my mutt Po. Po was the best fetcher in the neighborhood. I could throw that stick all the way to New Mexico, and Po would catch and fetch every time. But one summer, Po didn't want to fetch no more. Po didn't want to move. She was having difficulty breathing. I had to stretch the hose all the way to her to get her to drink. And then Po started coughing up blood. And quickly, too quickly, she died. I was 9. My sister Dolores was 6, and my baby brother Curtis had just turned 4 years old. A week later, another dog on our very street got sick, same way, like Po, and died. And then another, and another, and another, and another, and another. One of the kids found some hamburger meat in the sidewalk. It had broken glass in it. Someone was coming into our neighborhood, or even worse, someone in our neighborhood was feeding our dogs glass. It was horrible. Kids crying up and down the street, calling the dogs, never to return. We even created a pet cemetery at the end of our road. All these little tombstones in a row. Everybody at one point became a suspect. Now, I always thought it was that old hermit, Eddie Hansen, who lived 3 doors down. Eddie Hansen, a man in his 60s, enters. Eddie walks back and forth, as if just out for a walk. Back to Elizabeth. He was the one who yelled at us to pick up the dog crap. He was so mean. We all hated him, he hated us, he hated our dogs most of all. Now as an adult, I pity him. I think maybe he was just sad. So sad he didn't want anybody having any fun. At least not in his yard. I'd see him outside my window late at night, going on walks all by himself, pacing back and forth. But as much as I'd play detective, spying on that old hermit with my dad's binoculars, I never got anything more than a hunch. Eddie even went out of town for 3 weeks in August, and the dogs kept dying. Eddie Hansen, the man, exits. The dogs kept dying until there were hardly any left. I even asked our local butcher who was buying all that hamburger meat. He said if they were, it wasn't from him. The neighbors started putting fences up after that, chaining their dogs close to the house. Somebody would try to pet your dog, and you'd tug its leash close. Then my daddy came home with a colored TV after Mom and I caught him leaving the motel with one of Mom's friends. After that, us kids started staying inside more too. I died on October 16, 2005 from colon cancer. I never found out who killed Poe and all those dogs. Some stories remain a mystery. Consider yourself warned. Elizabeth begins to exit. She stops and chuckles. I don't like to admit it, but my mama, Mother Joe, she was right. You have to die sometimes. Blackout. Tell me what you think if you see this.